Hello, welcome to the Untitled Game. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to the Age of Sigmar Monday show in a very lonely, lonely Monday show. All of the crew are busy today, so it's just me today, which is going to be great. Love to everyone for tuning in live. Thank you very much. This is Monday night, so normally on the Monday night show, I hang out with the wonderful Mr. Nathan Prescott, who's away this week, James, who's away this week, and also Dan, who is currently on set of, I think, if I'm right, the new series of Red Dwarf. I don't think that's the case, but maybe. But that's okay, because none of them wanted to talk about the content we're going to be talking about anyway, which is the Age of Sigmar Six Nations list review. Okay, so this is kind of a me territory thing anyway. So there we go. So that's going to be the point of today's show. If you are watching this back on YouTube, this is live on Twitch, and I'm hanging out with Gitley and T-Man Cash and Guy and Plymouth Troll Slayers and Bobbin and RK Sanders. Now, there is... how does it feel for all the people you have not asked to join the Monday show this week? I like the people that I like, is what I'm going to say, Gitley, and I make no bones about it. Anyway, so if you're not aware, we're going to be talking about Six Nations. If you listen to the podcast, big love to you. There'll be a link in the show notes to the PDF, so you guys can follow along at home, or you can have a read up yourself. This is all a precursor to the Age of Sigmar Six Nations event this weekend, which we'll be doing live coverage of. Now, this is a pretty big deal, actually, for me as a content creator, because about, was it 2 years ago? Whenever the last time we went to Six, before, it might have been close to 3 years ago, previously, when we went and did the live coverage of this, because this is building up to something pretty magnificent for me, the T-Sports Network, and also you as an audience, all of us. We have been on this journey together now for a few years, where we started out doing coverage of one table, then we started doing two tables, then we comfortably got up to four tables. We got into the... we went to Six Nations, but Six Nations is an 8-man team event. Very, very hard to do coverage of, because we're going to have to stream all 8 tables at once. So the Super Series, and also doing event coverage where we've done 4 tables at once, like we did at War on the Heartlands and Bobo, etc., is something that we've been working on as a team. Perstek, Het Roban, hello Perstek, that we've been working on loads to get to this stage where we'll be able to cover 8 matches at once and showcase what seems to be a team format. Now, there's a really, really great question, and another show I'm going to do in the future is whether or not 8-man team format events are really, really good to watch. I mean, I'm going to know much better after this weekend, but this weekend will be our first time to talk about it. So has anyone got any questions about the Six Nations format? I'm going to describe it really simply and quickly to start with, and then thanks, Joel. Big love to you. Can't wait to... I just want to shout out everyone in the chat for being here. Alex, Guys 80, thanks for resubscribing. Final Cookie, loads of love to all of you. I think Deepara, I also saw you as well, and also Alex, well done, first time chatter. What's going on? So Six Nations is when is Six Nations? It's this weekend. It is the 13th and 14th of November. You'll be able to watch it on the T-Sports Network. The Six Nations consist of England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, Wales, and Sweden. Why are those the Six Nations? So 5 years ago, when Age of Sigmar was kind of just in its like proto stage, maybe even before first edition, or maybe just as first edition occurred, these nations got together to try and hold a small kind of international event. There is a thing, hey Rob Tevi, there is a thing called the AOS Worlds, previously the ETC. So this is something for some of you who might not know. There are national teams for most countries, and then they go and play at national events, specifically the AOS Worlds. The first one was last year. It used to be called the ETC. Now, this year, or next year specifically, it's going to be AOS Worlds. The Honest Wargamer and also the T-Sports Worlds. The T-Sports Network will also be doing coverage of that, as well as the WTC, which is the 40k World Team Championships. So this is our first 8-man team events. Are technologically quite difficult to cover, and also like it's going to be a really fun production. But the important part is that whatever country you're in, there might be a national team, and you could put a national team together and go and play at the Worlds and become the world champions, which is kind of the really fun thing. It is a legacy from the 40k and fantasy ETC warm-ups. Effectively, yes. Thanks, Floody. Big love to you. Are you and Adam commentating on all 8 games at once? We will. So there'll be 6 teams, which means every round there'll be 3 matches. We'll try to cover 1 match, which will be 8 matches at once, which will be fun. England's probably dominant, but you won't see any of them. Right, so... So, England have won every 6 nations in the past 5 years. They're the team to beat, which is going to be pretty exciting. I've got some outside bets on Wales and Northern Ireland as well. Doesn't mean I don't think Scotland don't have a chance, but there we go. So, that's the situation. If you don't know anything about team format, Warhammer before, just another quick little couple of points. In order to work out which members of your 8-man team or 8-person team plays the other 8-person team, then what you do is something called the pairing process, where you put in a card, a single 1 card, as a defender. Your opponent puts in a defender as well. You turn them over, you reveal them. They put in 2 attackers. Those 2 attackers, you choose which your defender who's going to play against. Then you go through that process, deciding who and what the matchups are going to be. The important thing to note about 6 Nations is that there are 2 battle plans being played between each team. So the 2 teams play each other. There are 2 battle plans. So when they do the pairing process, you pair into a different battle plan. Me personally, I don't like this. I think it's confusing for you as an audience, but it's basically... Team events, specifically international team events, are as convoluted as confusing as possible. Really, it's a great opportunity for loads of people to think that they're very smart, talk about how smart they are, make it as confusing and otherworldly as possible, so regular schlubs feel like they will never have a chance to do anything about it and make it uncommunicatable to an audience. I hope over the next few years to be able to make it so that I can bring down some of those barriers and make it so that it makes the most sense to you as a community so that we can understand what's going on, right? Right, is there... hey, Bad Posture Painting. How's your home? You're reporting in with 2 cups of water. I'll drink to you. So each player, when they play their match, scores some points. Those points go into a pool, and those pool of points equal the round points for your team. Every team will be playing round points. Every team will play every other team. And then the team with the most round points at the end will be the winners. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everyone? Any other questions? Is Shilly the England mascot? That's a great question. Evil Greg, thanks for being a first-time chatter. Can you run through who on the teams first? Yes, I can, 100%. Honestly, solid singles lists are a great way to start any team event. There are some team lists that work, but generally strong singles lists are the best. That's true. Okay, I'm going to quickly talk about the meta before we do anything else very quickly, and then we'll go through the teams and the lists. Did you got the money for the new camera, Rob? Can't see the bar, Bob, and we did not. I just thought it was... I just gave up, if I'm 100% honest, Bobbin. Anyway, let me talk through the meta. And we'll and then we can talk about everything else. Okay, so out of 6 teams, so don't remember there are 8 members on each team. Out of 6 teams, each team has definitely bought a Seraphon list, and they've definitely bought a Lumineth Realm Lords list. The Lumineth Realm Lords lists are broken up into 2 types. There's tech lists with 30 Sentinels and some stuff, or there's 30 Sentinels with Severith and 2 Wind Spirits. And those are the lists. Now, there are different sub-factions. I think there are 3 Helon, 2 Zytrek. Let me just go get my notes. There are 3 Zytrek, 2 Helon, and 1 Sire. But they all contain 30 Sentinels. It's the most consistent list out of all of the lists that are currently available at this particular one. Thank you to Tristan in the chat for saying hi. There's no Umetrica Chads, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. Lumineth is such a crutch. Who would play that? My God. I agree. Anyway, so that's probably the most cookie cutter and consistent list. And don't forget, every team has got 30 Sentinels in a 1-drop. That's really important to talk about. We'll look at the list in more detail in a moment. Hey, Paznak. Cheers from Poland. Big love to you. I hope you did well at the event this weekend. So there are a total of 180 Sentinels at the event, which is quite exciting. And thanks, David Smith, for donating 5 gift subs. Wow, that's so nice of you. Big love to you. Okay. In the Seraphon lists, we have 3 Thunder Lizard lists, 2 Draco Tail lists, and 1 Fangs of Sotek list. So each team has got a Seraphon list. There are 29 Salamanders spread across 6 players, and 6 Bastiladons spread across 6 players. There's only 1 Fangs of Sotek list I'd like to talk about, run by Team England. The rest consists of Thunder Lizard lists, with Scotland having the most unique Thunder Lizard list, which we'll talk about in a moment. And we'll look at those. So that's Seraphon. So lots of Salamanders, lots of Bastiladons. Thanks, Pyrrhus, for resubscribing. Is the least diverse the Six Nations lists have been? Seems like a few more gaming choices than previous years. I don't actually know comparison to other years, so that's a good one. I may as well give something big. I'll be losing 5 games at Six Nations. You've got this. You've got this. So Seraphon, Salamanders, and Bastiladon. Bastiladons, Lumineth Realm Lords, Wind Spirits, and Sentinels, or Wind Spirits and Tech lists. Those are your lists. Now, the 5th most popular, thanks to Bobbin for donating £69. Bobbin. Thanks, man. That's real nice of you. I don't know what to say. Thanks, bud. Thanks, bud. In honor of you, we'll review Team Sweden first. That's what we'll do. That's the only thanks I've got, but... Nice. Thanks. Nice. Okay, that's throwing me off. Okay, so there are 5 Daughters of Cain lists, 5 of them, and most excitingly about the Daughters of Cain lists is they're all Morathian, the Bow Snakes, apart from 1. And I think it's the Scottish list. We'll go, or it might not be. But they're all Morathian, the Bow Snakes, apart from 1, which has no Morathi and additional Bow Snakes. In fact, there are 95 Bloodstalkers at this event. That's right, between 5 different players. Bow Snakes and the Bow Snakes. It's a different band, but it's a similar band. Bow Snakes and the Bow Snakes is what it is. So that's Daughters of Cain. The only team that doesn't have a Daughters of Cain list, in fact, actually is Team England, which is quite interesting. They don't have an Ironjawz list, and they don't have a Bow Snakes list, or a Daughters of Cain list. I think that's quite interesting. Okay, finally, their own headline tour. I hate when bands change their front person. Me too. Me too. Okay, so the 4... oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me just make sure I've got this for you guys. So it's a lot of info. The teams that have brought 4 different factions. So Tzeentch, Soulblight Gravelords, and Sons of Behemoth have been taken 4 times. There's a really great conversation to be had about the Sons of Behemoth lists. There is. I know. Is it interesting? Who knows? But most specifically, most of them are 4 drops because they're running double bosses of the Stomps. All 4 of the Mega Gargant lists have 4 Mega Gargants, of course. However, quite excitingly, JP Gannis, big shout out to him, of Listbot, is running a 3-drop version which eschews taking the double artifact. So normally the bosses of the Stomp gives you the ability to take an artifact, and we traditionally see the double wizard version. So we normally see we see the Amulet of Destiny, and then we see the Arcane Tome, and then also we see the sometimes we see the Enchanted Portcullis, and sometimes we see the Glowing Lantern, depending. However, being a 3-drop versus a 4-drop might make JP's version of the list a counter Gargant list, which would be very interesting for the pairing process. It really will be. So the Soulblight Gravelords list consists of 3 Castelli lists and a Vrykros list. The Castelli lists, 2 of them have got Nagash and Blood Knights. Oh no, one of them's got Nagash and Blood Knights. Xi Jinping. Thanks for donating 69p and £69 and 69p to the show. I'm very overwhelmed that the leader of China is watching the show and is very excited about the Soulblight Gravelords list that we'll be covering. That's very lovely of you, Xi Jinping. I hope... fuck. Thanks, guys, for donating cash. You don't have to. if you guys are watching this back on YouTube, or you're just like someone who doesn't normally tune in, the Twitch chat normally just donate some cash and subscribe and stuff. Everything we do is free, actually. We don't take any sponsorship or ad money or anything like that off anyone. And so it's just really that helps us get through the day. So it's really nice of them. So big shout out to them, to all of them. And thanks to Believer donating 500 bits. Rob, have you got any of those destruction lists? Yes, there are 3 destruction lists. I'll talk about them in a moment. Give me a moment to get through this. Soulblight Gravelords, Castelli, I've talked about that. 3 Castelli, 1 Vycross. The Vycross list is from Northern Ireland. I really like it. It's much more dynamic. However, there's a Castelli list run by England, which we're seeing a lot of play in English events at the moment, which is, we'll talk about that in a sec. And then I prefer the Welsh list. I think the Welsh list is the best Castelli list there, personally, truthfully. And then Tzeentch. There are 4 Tzeentch lists in attendance. 220 pink horrors from 4 players. 220 pink horrors from 4 players. Yeah. That's correct. 3 of the lists, 3 of the lists are host duplicitous, which means you can't retreat from them. One of them is Eternal Conflagration, run by one of my favorite people, Mr. Mick Wendell. He's running the Eternal Conflagration list. I think the host duplicitous list is better, but I'm an Eternal Conflag fan as well. Love the rend on it. I think it's a great play. Big fan. Hope it goes well. From 4 players. Rookie numbers. Want me to put a link up to the list in the chat? Yes, you can if you want to. I'm actually going to... I've got the list to show on the screen. I'm going to go through them in detail in a moment. I'm just doing an overview of the list as we see it. That's... yeah, as we see it right now. So that's the 4 lists. Well, that's the 4 categories. So 4 of the teams are going to be running Tzeentch, 4 of the teams are going to be running Soulblight Gravelords, 4 of the teams are running Sons of Behemoth. In the 3 category, Slaves to Darkness are being run 3 times. They're all hosts of the ever-chosen 6th Circle. So a lot of people getting... so Australia, especially during lockdown, start of 3rd edition, a lot of the guys in Australia were running 6th Circle, host the ever-chosen lists. You were seeing Tzeentch versions of it. You even saw some Slaanesh versions of it over there. But the Slaves to Darkness lists are all hosts of the ever-chosen 6th Circle. There's an Archaon in each one of those lists, and most of the units are marked Tzeentch, which is really important for those reroll ones, and obviously the 5-up ignore. No Korgraths. And then there are 3 Idneth Deepkin lists, which are quite exciting. 2 of them are more traditional. England and Scotland have got some Futhwan lists. It's got it's more traditional. We'll look at them in a little moment. And the Welsh list is mental. It's just loads of Eidolons, aspects of the Storm, aspects of the Stee. It's weird, but there you go. There is 3 Ironjawz lists. 2 of them are Bloodtooths. 1 of them is Iron Sons. Megaboss and Maw-Crusher in attendance with a bunch of pigs. We'll look at those in a little moment as well. And then in the 2 category, there are 2 Nurgle lists. 1 coming out of retirement, Terry Pike. Very excited to see him for England play with his Munificent Wanderers list. More of a traditional Nurgle list, the list that we're seeing at the moment before the new Battle Tome. Munificent Wanderers is taking a lot. There's a Witherstave, there's a Great Unclean one, there's all of your normal stuff. And then the Republic of Ireland are bringing a Droning Guard list, which genuinely confused the heck out of me. So that's all I'm going to say. And then there are 2 Legion of the First Prince lists. A Welsh list and Sweden are running both of those 2, which is really exciting. The other Nurgle list is my David Smith, the Droning Guard list. That's really exciting. I'm very happy about that. Okay, so there's 2 Legion of the First Prince lists. One of them doesn't have Kairos in, which really genuinely surprises me. We'll look at those in a moment. And then the single situation, or the single instances of some lists. There's a Skaven list for the Republic of Ireland. Northern Ireland have brought a KO list and also a Cities of Sigmar list in Hallowheart being run by Colin. And then Stormcast is only being represented once at the event by the Swedish, and they're bringing a very shooty Stormcast list. Okay, happy with that. That's a nice little preview. So, but the headlines: 220 pink horrors, 30 Sentinels in every Illumineth list, 29 Salamanders and 6 Basiladons, 3 Archaons across 3 different slaves lists, and then 95 Bloodstalkers. So I miss lists which have to navigate the ban phase. Me too. But don't worry. Their tickets are going on sale next week for the Super Series qualifier, so you guys can tune in for that. Right, let's look at the list, shall we? This has been put together by the wonderful people at the Six Nations Organising Committee, which is Owen and Dan, so thank you to those. Here we go. Right, so surprised there are not more Stormcast Eternals. Me too. I'm very, very surprised by that. Okay, so Six Nations. Team Sweden. Let's look at these lists here. So Leonard Svensson is running the Stormcast Eternals list. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Knight Judicators with Griffhounds. We saw this list go 5-0 very recently in a singles format. Battle Line Liberators, 2 lots of Allied Dawn Riders, and then he's got the Celestant Prime as well. Loads of pew pew. We'll see what we think that will pair well into. Not sure. Here is one of the Lumineth Realm Lords lists. It's very cookie cutter. It's like all the others. Dennis Palmqvist, the Law Seeker with his the Law Seeker's in there with the Regent and Severith. There's 2 other Wind Spirits, 30 Sentinels, 2 Wardens. I'm gonna repeat myself a lot on that. So I'm not going to go over time. If you guys, I suppose if you're brand new to Age of Sigmar, for some reason you've already listened through what the hell I just said and you're listening to this, 30 Sentinels are pretty much taken in every list. As you can see, it's a 1-drop. It's great for a team format because they've got the ability to just shoot out your characters that are very, very vital, very important. The Knight Judicator list does something very similar. I'm not going to repeat it again when we do go through these, but the Sentinels ignore line of sight. They do mortals on 5s. They're super, super undercosted by maybe 50 points per 10, which is why you've seen 30 of them in every single list for every single team. I hope you're doing amazing, Rob. Thanks, Believer. That's really nice of you. Thanks very much. Boo, hiss, rebel, other teams. Great guy, great list. Jonas Paro is running a 2 Kraken Eaters, a War Stomper, and a Gatebreaker. As you can see, he's a 4-drop because he's gone for the double Magnificent, meaning he's able to take 3 artifacts. This is really important. So this is a core battalion that's accessible only by Sons of Behemoth. And in there, that means you've got the 3 artifacts. Great conversation about whether or not JP's version of running only one less artifact, so 2 artifacts still, but 1 less artifact, but being 1 drop lower is going to work out for him in the future. I like that. Then you've got Adam Saf. He's running maybe one of the more unique of the Seraphon lists. Don't forget there are 6 Seraphon lists in every... there's a Seraphon list in every team. He's got the Stegodon Battle Line because he's in Thunder Lizard. And then he's got the Engine of the Gods, Starmaster, Skink Priest. And then only 3 Salamanders and a Bastiladon. That Bastiladon's so important because of the command ability, allowing it to shoot twice. Back that up with Sky Streak Bows that you get in here. Potentially 18 damage each. 9 damage each. That's 27 damage at range coming from the Stegodons. They're all monsters. Battle tactics for days. The rest of the Swedish team is made up of Ulf Erling. Really big fan of Ulf. Slaves to Darkness. He's got Archeon and Be'lakor. Now, don't forget, in a teams format, you might not know this. You can't repeat War Scrolls. So each team has to have something different. Each team member has to have something different from the rest of its teammates. You also can't repeat grand strategies. So each teammate has to... you have to have a different grand strategy as well. Now, he's got Host the Ever-Chosen, 6 Circle. That does extra damage. And he's got Be'lakor, he's got Archeon, and he's got Chaos Marauders, some Untamed Beasts. They've all got the Mark of Tzeentch, which means they get to reroll 1s to save, and also the War Shrine. Then you got Legion of the First Prince. Now, this is interesting because Be'lakor isn't in the Legion of the First Prince list in this example, and normally you almost see Be'lakor in there. The Archeon and Be'lakor trick feels odd to put that in this team composition. Give it all to Ulf and not have Andreas take any. But Andreas is taking 2 Bloodthirst of Incense and Rage, and the Khorne Demon Prince, as well as 10 Pink Horrors, some Plague Bearers as well, and the Blue Scribes. So that's an odd one for me. I find that to be quite odd. But there you go. Are these lists posted somewhere? There's a link in the chat, Ferris, if you want to click this. And if you're watching this back or listening to this as a podcast, there will be a link in the show notes as well. Lyra Pamnor is running Daughters of Cain. It's Marathi and the Bow Snakes. It doesn't need explaining. And then, I suppose it does, but if you're brand new, but Marathi makes the Bow Snakes shoot twice. That's why they're there. And then Thomas Viffel has got a Blood Tooth list. So this is Iron Jaws, right? He's got the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher twice, and then 2 Uruk War Chanters, Min Ard Boys Battle Line, and then he's gone for a bunch of different Gore Grunters. I really like this. I think this is really good, especially with the FAQ change. It makes those Gore Grunters really, really like rock solid in the output. It's the issue with it. It's a 10 drop, and I'm worried about one of the Mega Boss or more Crushers getting shot quite early by a lot of the shooting lists. We'll see. That's the Swedish team. The Swedish team are my. I don't want to do a pick, but good luck to Team Sweden. There you go. Flukesy in the chat. One of my favourite people. Hi, Flukesy. He'll be rooting for the Scottish team in a minute. It's not odd, it's just bad, says my co-host for the weekend. Team England, the current reigning champions and the favourite to take out the event. So, they get a little bit of stick. They get a little bit of stick at the event, but it's all good fun because obviously you don't want the reigning champs to be the reigning champs. Everyone wants them to, there we go, some booze in the chat, but it's light-hearted and fun because they're the comedy villains, not the actual villains. Okay, right, so so Dan Bradshaw with his Ironeth Deepkin, he's got 10 Thralls, 3 Ishling Guard, 5 Alapexes, and then the Leviathan. These Alapexes, we've talked about this a lot in coverage at the moment. They're multi-tuned units. They're able to shoot and fight quite nicely, especially with the stacking buff from Leviathan. And then the Eidolon with the Aspect of the Storm with the Cloud of Midnight could work quite nicely into some shooting units. Who are the actual villains? It's the coverage team. The coverage team are the actual villains. Darren Watson, the only Fangs of Sotek list here available. He's got the Slan, Skink Star Priest twice, and the Celestant Prime. You're going to see the Celestant Prime in Seraphon lists a lot. I talked about this on the stat show already today, but double that up with Comet's Call and also the Realm Shaper Engine's ability to explode mortal wounds. And then 5 Salamanders. Now, only 5 Salamanders, but that's actually over a quarter of the army in those Salamanders. Those Salamanders are fantastic. They're so good. I did Prime before it was called. Stephen AOS, you did. And also, congratulations on 4-1 this weekend, you fucking legend. But anyway, this is really good. This is really good. A lot of mortal wounds coming out from the Prime and the range mortal wounds from the spellcasting, like we talked about. And also Darren's playing it as well. So, and it's a slightly different list to what the other lists are trying to do, which I find quite interesting. He's also got that block of 30 skinks. Whether or not that has the output to go into horrors, not sure. JP Stevens is running the Lumineth list we talked about previously. Double Hurricane, the Sentinels. He's got Blade Lords instead of a 10 Wardens to go with the Law Seeker and Severith. Very similar to the Swedish list. There's just a slight change. Those Blade Lords aren't Wardens in that particular list. And it's a 1-drop for shooting people off. Ricky Me is running a Host of the Ever-Chosen 6-circle list. He's got Archeon, he's got the Varangard, he's got the 30 Marauders, he's got the Iron Golems. Where if we look at the Swedish list, he was looking to screen with his Untamed Beasts here. Ricky's not doing that. Instead, he wants another punch unit in that Varangard. They're so good with the Mark of Tzeentch re-rolling ones to save on their 3-up armor save. And they've got Chaos Lord, Chaos Sorcerer Lord, piling attacking twice. Where is the innovation? And then the War Shrine. So this is a great list. It's a great list in singles events. It's especially good list into it's a great list because you get Spell Ignore as well as the reroll ones to save. Saves the Darkness, Mark Tzeentch, you get a Spell Ignore. So it works really well into spell heavy lists, which is why I don't think you've seen many spell heavy lists. And then you've got Russ Veal from Facehammer. He's got a Soulblight Gravelords list. Now, this has been played a lot in singles event recently, this list. Nagash, the White King on Skeletal Steed. He's got Rousing Commander and Fragment of the Keep. So there's that -1 to wound aura, as well as the buffs. Once per battle, the buff to buff up all those Blood Knights. And he's got 20 Blood Knights in 4 units of 5 and 20 Deadwalker Zombies. It's a 1-drop as well, so he's able to get his buffs up really early as well, move up into the board, get Nagash to do some pretty dominant damage. Now, this isn't my favourite of these lists. This is done really well in singles play. My preference actually is actually the Welsh version of this list, but it's still a great list, and Russ is going to do really well with it. Steve Curtis is running Sons of Behemoth. He was playing this weekend with that. It's the 4 Gatebreakers. It's double bosses of the Stomp. I've already discussed it. It's 2 War Stompers, 2 Gatebreakers. So 4 Mega Gargants. Sure. Okay. I don't have anything else to say about Mega Gargants. Terry Pike is running one of only 2 Nurgle lists. He's got the Magnificent Wanderers. He's got the Great Unclean One with the Witherstave. You see this in locks. It makes you reroll 6s in an aura. Festus, Lord of Afflictions, Sloppy Bilepiper, and Sportsbox Scrivener is twice. All of those are going to buff up those 20 Plague Bearers, making sure you can't pile in an attack. Buffing them so they do mortal wounds, and also giving them additional attacks. He's got the Emerald Life Swarm as well to bring those guys back as well. We've seen lists play like this. Normally we see more monsters in this list, but it does have a lot of Plague Bearers, and it's going to play really, really well on the primary, which is really nice for this list. And then Tom Maudsley is running Tzeentch. I've talked about everyone, haven't I? Oh, yeah. Tom Maudsley's running Tzeentch, and it's 30 horrors, 2 lots of 10 horrors, Soul Screen Bridge, Kairos, Blue Scribes, and the Ogroid. Slightly different to the Welsh version of this list and a couple of the other versions of this list as well. He's taken the Ogroid instead of another unit of 10 pink horrors. And I would normally see Kairos, normally see the Blue Scribes. And I don't know why the Blue Scribes are in here because you're rerolling the saves anyway, rerolling the casts anyway, but that's a side note. The Ogroid's got a D6 mortal wound spell, meaning Kairos can not only do his mortal wound spell, which is flat 6 mortal wounds, as well as Bolt of Tzeentch, which is another D6 mortal wounds. He can also cast the Ogroid spell for an additional D6 mortal wounds, which should help him achieve more battle tactics, which is the 2+ you don't stop the bridge. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Stephen has pointed out that Scribes is the way to guarantee the bridge across the board. Soul Screen Bridge. Just so we don't have to talk about it when this list comes up again, you Soul Scream Bridge across 30 pink horrors, use Destiny Dice to auto-charge, and because it's hosted blisters, you can't run away. Whereas Terry's list is a combat list that wants you to fight it. If you fight it, you take mortal wounds and die as you hit it, and then it hits you back. So it's quite a good list for that. The Oddroid. So that's Team England. Boos in the chat, but also cheers in the chat. Good luck, Team England. Team Scotland. Andy Curry is running his Lumeth Realm Lords list. He's running Severith, the double Wind Spirits, the 30 Sentinels. He's also taking the Blade Lords to go along with the Lore Seeker and the Lord Regent. An almost identical list to JP's list, but I think that they're different. Nope, they're even the same sub-faction. So no one says Age of Sigmar is predictable. JP Gannis is running... Now, he's running that Sons of Behemoth list I talked about. The fact that he's gone for double Boss of the Stomp, but he's made it so he's 3 drops. Is that going to change? He's gone for double Gatebreaker and double War Stomper, which I think is the better build. Does that mean that that's going to change how the pairing process is going to go? Gargant into Gargant? That's a great question. John Bayliss is running a Seraphon list. He's got some core Saurus Knights and Saurus Guard as his battle line. And then he's got two lots of 2 Salamanders, the Basiladon. Then he's got the Stegodon, the Engine of the Gods, Slan, and the Skink Priest. So this is Thunder Lizard, reducing damage by 1. The Basiladon's going to do really well, shooting twice, and Salamanders just take names and murder stuff. So it's just very competent at murdering stuff. It's very competent at achieving battle tactics as well. The Slan and the Engine of the God. The Slan's really good for also dropping down the mortal wounds as well. So, and the Stegodon with King Chiefs, good, very good. Sky Street Bow, additional mortal wounds, and then there's a cheeky curse if you get curse off, which is fine. I don't know what you would even curse. What you would attack after? Oh, who knows? Anyway, so that's John and his Seraphon list, and then Paul de Duca with his Idoneth Deepkin is running Battleline Thralls, Tidecast, and the Eidolon aspect of the Storm, with a Cloud of Midnight, which is identical to what we're seeing from the English team on that front. We haven't seen them take the Arcane Tome. That's been used in other places in this team construction. That Cloud of Midnight probably going to come in quite clutch against some different lists as well. And then he's got five Alapexes and a Leviathan. Again, those Alapexes really shining through at the moment. As we saw on TTS earlier in the year in Age of Sigmar 2. And so it's no surprise to be seeing the Alapexes as well. David Jack with his Soul Black Gravelords list. Now, this is a slightly different one in this Castelli dynasty. He still has 15 Blood Knights in 3 5s, and then another 10 Blood Knights for 25 Blood Knights. But he's then got the 20 Grave Guard as well, some Fellbats, and he's got the White King on Skeletal Steed, and then Manfred as well. So he hasn't gone for the Nagash version of this list. Instead, gone for slightly more bodies, maybe slightly more output as well. Those Blood Knights will do some pretty significant damage on the charge. And Manfred is also a great counter charge piece, like getting charged and running away. So I'm really excited to see this list play. Lee Martin is running Daughters of Cain. It's Bow Snakes and the Bow Snakes. No Marathi. It's in Calibron. Bloodrat Medusa is the general. And he's also got 9 Shadow Stalkers and 5 Heartrenders. So Bow Snakes and the Bow Snakes, which is really quite exciting. Nathan Watson's got Zinch, Host of Blicitus. He's got Kairos and the Blue Scribes. Then he's got the 30 Pink Horrors, 20 Pink Horrors, 10 Pink Horrors, the Bridge, and the Portal. So as you can see here, he hasn't gone for the Ogroid, but has been able to get himself an additional 10 Pink Horrors over the English version of this list. Dude Our Day, we'll do that on Thursday. And then Mike Callahan with his Iron Jaws list. He's got Mega Boss and War Crusher twice, 2 War Chanters, 10 Brutes, 5 Brutes, 10 Arboys, and then 3 Gore Grunters. This is a great list. Really great list. I'm not sure what it pairs well into. I've been trying to think about this for a couple of days. I don't think it pairs into much well. It pairs into loads of things well, but I don't know if it like auto wins. But it is a problem list. Those Mega Boss and More Crushers, don't forget, can go very fast turn 1. One of them can use Mighty Destroyers. Oh, I mean, they both could use Mighty Destroyers, and one of them can use the Fasten for 36-inch move turn 1. So unless you bunker up right, it could really get you, which is and do some amazing damage. Thanks River City Gaming, loads of love. Yeah, I'm really starting to be on the mend now, so thanks, man. That's really appreciated. So that's Team Scotland. Very excited for Team Scotland. They came last at the last Six Nations, so Team Scotland have got absolutely everything to play for. They are the team that even if they come 5th out of 6th, they're in a great spot. So I'm really rooting for Team Scotland. Also half Scottish myself, so slightly biased there. Don't skip the Irish LRL list. You tell me how to play. Team Ireland. Mick Wendell is also running Pink Horrors. He's running a Zinch list with 2 lots of 20 Pink Horrors and then another 10 Pink Horrors. And then he's running the Changecaster, Kairos, and the Blue Scribes. So similar to the other lists that we saw, but we haven't seen the big brick of 30 Pink Horrors. But because he's in internal conflagration, the Pink Horrors are going to have Rend 1. Thank you to Quantum Flea for subscribing. So they are going to have Rend 1 on their shooting. But then I'm surprised I haven't seen the Fate Master in there for the reroll shooting, which is really quite surprising. He's got the Umbral Spell Portal, the Soul Screen Bridge, and the Soul Snare Shackles. I don't really understand the point of having Soul Screen Bridge if you don't have the 30, but there we go. Slightly different. Ken Chambers is running Slaves to Darkness. He's running Archeon. There's Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince with Khorne, 3 Varangard, 3 times, all Mark of Zinch, which means they're rerolling ones. I've talked about this already. Very strong list. Going to do a lot of output. Archeon's going to be really solid in this list as well. Nathan Sanderson, lovely human being, is running Sons of Behemoth. He is running a 4-drop version of the Mega Gargant. So he's got 3 Kraken Eaters and a Gatebreaker. He's got double Magnificence, so he's got the artifacts. It's a 4-drop. 4-drop versus 3-drop. That's the conversation at the weekend. And then Richard Flood. Yeah. Has got a Lumineth Realm Lords list. He's running Severith and the Law Seeker. No Venari Lord Regent, which is quite interesting. Then he has got 30 Sentinels, 10 Wardens, and then 10 Wind Chargers. The points he's saved has got him another 10 Wind Chargers. This is in Helon with 2 Hurricane Wind Spirits. And I think I like this list more. The Wind Chargers do some amazing output. The thing about the other lists is, I mean, he's still got the Wind Spirits. The other lists have got, it doesn't matter. The Wind Spirits are great. But he's going to be able to turn 1, hit you with all the shooting from the Wind Chargers, the Sentinels, it's a 1-drop, and the Wind Spirit shooting. It's amazing. Loads. They have my heart. Yeah, this is a good list. I think I prefer this version of the list, but we'll see. And I'm very excited to see Floody play, so congratulations to him. John Twomey for team. This is the Republic of Ireland, by the way. He's running a Draco's Tail list with a Slan, Skink Priest, and the Astro Banner Bearer. Then he's got Min Battle Line, but most importantly, he's running 8 Salamanders and then additionally a Bastiladon. That's 1,000 points of Salamanders, and this is absolutely the right way to run Seraphon. This is 100% the correct way to run Seraphon. The Draco's Tail list, basically, the Slan will put all of the Salamanders in his mind, deep strike, and then drop them within 18 inches. I know what you're worried about. Oh, Rob, it's a 2-drop. That means the Lumineth list will shoot him off. It's unlikely they'll shoot him off because those Saurus Guard are going to bodyguard protect wounds for the Slan while he's in the Realm Shaper engine. So +1 save, -1 to hit. I think he'll be fine. And then he drops down all 8 Salamanders and just nukes everything. Big fan of this. I like that John committed to the Salamander list here. I think this is the right play compared to some of the other lists. Oh, I ordered your standard First Prince army. Looking forward to learning Sigmar. Well, that River City Gaming. Wow. That's a great list. That's probably one of the most techie lists you can play. You're going to have a really great time with that list. Good luck. Ken Smith is running the only Skaven list available. He's running a Vermalor Corruptor and Thankwall, and then a Plague Priest, 2 more Plague Priests, and then he's got a ton of Clan Rats and a ton of Plague Monks. I quite like this because he's taking Curse as his prayer scripture, so he's going to be able to do mortal wounds on 6s to wound. I like this. This is fun. This is really fun. The Plague Monks do a lot of attacks. If you double that up with Curse, you could go through some stuff. Thankwall works really well into Pink Horrors. So, I'm quite surprised. Yeah. It doesn't work well into much else. It's very important, but it works well into that. Great army choice. So you can bully the pairings because the Tzeentch lists for the other teams, don't forget there are 4 of them, well 3, including Republic of Ireland. It's a great play. Then David Smith, what a treasure, is running Droning Guard. Great and clean one. Another great and clean one, and then he's running the Lord of Afflictions as the general. He's got 20 Plague Bearers, and then he's got 2 lots of 2 Pusgoyle Blight Lords, and then 3 lots of 3 Plague Drones. And I'm very excited to see him play and understand why he has brought this. I don't know how it plays, but I'm excited to see it play. I don't know what he's trying to counter with this list. Maybe he's just looking to get bust every turn. I don't know. But this commentator is personally confused by that list. That's all I'm going to say. Plague Bomb. Is it going to be a Plague Bomb? You don't even have... Oh, he's got Sloppity. Okay, so you do have Sloppity to do additional... No. If we don't know how it works, neither can our parents. Perfect. Okay. All right, and then finally, Will is running a Calibron list. It's Morathian the Bow Snakes. But it's only 10 Bow Snakes. No, it's not. It's 15. Sorry. I missed that. There's 15 Bow Snakes. So that's the Republic of Ireland. Up against Northern Ireland next. Dave Kane is the only person bringing KO to the event, which is an interesting take, and I quite like it. He's got the Chemist, the Admiral, and the Endrin Master with the Endrin Harness. He's got 10 Thunderers, and then 2 lots of 5 Thunderers. And he's got the Gun Hauler, 6 Prosecutors with Stormcall Javelins, and then he's got the Ironclad and the Frigate in this list as well. Now, don't forget, the Frigate is in the Alpha Beast Pack, and it's been FAQ'd that the pre-game move for that is also going to allow them to fly high. So the Archanaut Frigate, the Ironclad, and also, those 2 in the Alpha Beast Pack are going to be able to fly high turn 1 and bring all of their guns to bear very, very quickly, which I really like. So I really like this. Dave's got a very unique list and maybe causing a bit of issue in the pairing process. I would say Northern Ireland maybe got the greatest, Northern Ireland or Wales got the greatest shot to take out Team England, and they'll have been thinking about it a lot and practicing a lot. So I'm excited to see them play. Stephen Mitchell, AOS Stephen, in the chat. He's running the Thunder Lizard list. Min battle line, 2 times 10 Skinks and 5 Saurus Guard. There's Saurus Guard babysitting that Slan Starmaster. Then he's got the Engine of the Gods, and he's got the Skink Priest and the Skink Starseer. He's got 4 Salamanders in total, 2 units of 2, and then 2 Bastiladons, 2 units of 2. Now, the Bastiladon shooting twice is really key. Again, that's 1,000 points of shooting available in this list. Working really well into demons, so Legion of the First Prince stuff also might work quite nicely, and those Salamanders being there. I don't know if I wouldn't like to have just seen the Salamanders swap out. I'm not sure for the Basiladon, the 1 Basiladon, the 6 Salamanders, but Stephen knows what he's doing. He's been pushing this list around a lot, and recently, as of this weekend, went 4-1 with this list, so he should do really well. Neil Montgomery is a little bit of a treasure, and he's running Iron Jaws. He's got the Mega Boss or Maw Crusher twice, 2 War Chanters, and then he's got all Gore Grunters, apart from 2 units of 5 Brutes. I do like these lists. This is a 9-drop, though. I wouldn't mind seeing Iron Jaws list try to do the 1-drop variant, so that with only 1 Maw Crusher, but the 2 Mega Boss or Maw Crusher provide some pretty significant threat, both in output and board space. So it'll be fun to see them paired into the right things. And then Chris Gaves Jr. Is running Daughters of Cain, Marathi and the Bow Snakes, and then he's also got 3 lots of 9 Cainite Shadowstalkers. I'm a huge fan of the Cainite Shadowstalkers, and I think actually those 3 units of 9, as well as the Heartrenders, are going to give him a lot of options. You could triple relocate all of them to go and nuke a unit. You could do some really fun stuff with that. I really like that. And also Chris Gaves Jr. Has had like 2 years off, and is probably going to come back with some big vengeance. One of the star players of the Northern Irish team is Chris Caves Jr. Then Solomon Morrow is going to be running Soulblight Gravelords of Freycross Dynasty. So this is the more dynamic of the Soulblight lists. He's got 2 lots of 20 Deadwalkers, 2 lots of 10 Direwolves, and 20 Graveguard. And then he's got Manfred, the Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon, then Belladama, and the Necromancer. So there's lots you can say about this list, but basically he's got more tools necessarily than the Blood Knights, but the Blood Knights maybe are just better War Scrolls. I won't take the Sallies to standalone event, but they work in teams. Hey Joe Rath, thanks for tuning in. I wouldn't take the Sallies to a standalone event. I mean, many people take them to a standalone event, but okay. Then Pete Pratt is running his Nurgle list. So this is... Oh, wait, is there 3 Nurgle lists? I messed up. There are 3 Nurgle lists. Damn it, I thought there were 2. And he's running Munificent Wanderers, very much like Terry. He's got the Lord of Afflictions, the Great and Clean One, started Firepiper on the Spoils Box. Then he's got 3 lots of 20 Plague Bearers, and then 4 Puskal Blight Lords, and then some Untamed Beasts for some early doors screening, as well as the Palisade. So that Wither Stave for re-rolling hits is going to be really, really important. And yeah, some good combat on those objectives, and also giving himself the ability to fly over his own Plague Bearer blocks with the Puskal Blight Lords, buff them up, and then just try and make them hit those key battle tactics over those turns. Colin is running Cities of Sigmar, and he's running Hallowheart. So again, the Northern Irish team have the most varied lists, I would say, compared to everyone else. He's got the Rune Lord, the Battle Mage, Celestial Hurricane on Celestial Battle Mage. And then he's got 30 Iron Drakes, 10 Longbeards twice, and 10 Iron Breakers. And then he's got 2 lots of 5 Life Takers, and then those 10 Protectors. Now, John Twomey on Team Ireland. Oh, lovely. So the 10 Protectors are a big deal. Like we've talked about before, 51 attacks, 2s and 2s, rend 1, damage 1, work really well potentially into Pink Horrors to fight their way out. 30 Iron, and also really well into Mega Gargants as well. 30 Iron Drakes also going to work really well into both of those 2 threats you might see knocking around. Those Protectors have also got a really fantastic save. And then he's got the Soul Scream Bridge. So he's got some pretty good magical dominance available to him via the Hurricane and the Battle Mage, and the fact that he's Hallowheart as well. The Protector bomb is badass. Yeah, the Protector bomb is great. Yeah, it's going to be really good. We've already seen it play at Blood Tithe, so here it is again. So I'm excited to see this play at this event. That's 30 wounds on effectively a 2-up save. So pretty unique, and also provides a unique problem. Maybe similar problem to the Castelli lists with the Blood Knights. They're a lot of wounds on a very good armor save as well. Then Chris Archibald is pushing forward his Lumineth Roll Swords Sidetrack list. He's one of the few people bringing the other version of Lumineth. He's still got 30 Sentinels in his list. He's also got 30 Wardens in 10s. He's got the Ballista, the Spell Portal, and the Life Swarm, and he's got Tech lists, so no Wind Spirits for Archie. They don't have Ungor Raiders there. I wanted to bring Slash was vetoed. Oh, interesting. So that's Northern Ireland. A real good shot for taking out the event, in my opinion. And then Team Wales, another team with a really good opportunity to take out the event. You've got Greg Shelton. He's got my preferred Soulblight Gravelords list. This is Nagash, Manfred, and the Vengori Lord. The Smash Bros, as I call it, with battle line of 3 lots of 20 Deadwalker zombies. This is super strong as a list. Really, really strong. You clump them all together. There's the -1 to wound and the -1 Ren bubble around Nagash and Manfred from the Vengori Lord, as well as the Grave Sandshot. It's a great list. That's what I'm saying. Twitch chat. I love this list. Matt Goldsborough. He's been playing a lot of Lumineth Realm Lords. So, I mean, recently a Stormcast player, but he's running Sire. He's the only person running Sire out of the 6 players running Lumineth Realm Lords. He's got tech lists of one of only 2 running tech lists. He's got the Wind Mage. No one else is running the Wind Mage. And then he hasn't got 1 brick of 30 Sentinels. Instead, he's got a 20, a 10, and then he has 20 Wardens and 10 Wardens. And then he has 1 allied in Alapex with the net launcher, meaning you can't pile in, and that's a 1 drop. Now, this is, he's also got Goading Arrogance on the Wind Mage. This is a very different Lumineth list to the other lists. Yes, I'm reading out Sentinels, but most of the other elements, or the Wind Mage specifically, as well as the allied in Alapex, is quite different to the rest of the lists. And Goading Arrogance is the best command trait in the game. I agree. So this is going to be... this is really good, and it'll be interesting to see how Matt does. Chris Myhill is running a list that I didn't expect to ever see. He's got an aspect of the sea, an aspect of the storm, and another aspect of the storm for an Idneth Deepkin, meaning he's got 3 Eidolons. None of them are monsters, which is wild. It's just wild. One of them does have the Arcane Tome and Flaming Weapons, and then he's got the Soul Scryer and another Soul Scryer, and then he's got 10 Reavers and 2 lots of 10 Thralls, and then he has 1 big brick of Ishlin Guard. Now, those are the defensive eels, as they're known. Now, he might be looking to get Curse off and use the Ishlin Guard with all of their attacks to potentially do all of that damage. Or maybe there's a particular list he's trying to pair into. I would love to know what your thoughts are in the chat or in the comments below on who you think it's trying to pair into. But there we go. Dan George is running a unique Sons of Behemoth list in that it's a 1-drop compared to the 3-drop variants. But that does mean he's only got 2 artifacts in his list. Is that right? Yeah. Universal art. He's got the Amulet of Destiny and he's got the Glowy Lantern. So slightly unique. But it is a 1-drop, which is different. I'm very surprised we didn't see 6 Gargant lists out of 6. And then Andy Hughes is running a Draco Tales list again. 5 Salamanders, min battle line, like we talked about before, with a Bastiladon. So similar to the other 2 lists, only he's got slightly more Salamanders and he's also got the Celestant Prime. So he's kind of stolen a bit of Darren's list, and he's similar to Steven's list, but there we go. So unique. Alex Bruce is running Marathi in the Bow Stakes list, but he's only gone for 10, a 1 brick of 10 Bloodstalkers. That's quite important because those Bloodstalkers are able to shoot in the hero phase, so you want as many of them shooting in the hero phase as possible, but he hasn't gone for a 15, and he's only gone for a 10, and he's also in Keltnar as well, meaning that those Bloodstalkers become battle line. And then he's gone for a lot of Life Takers. So he's gone for 25 Life Takers, 5 units of 5. And then he's obviously got Marathi as well, and a Blood Rat Medusa. Hey, Tarquin X. I hope you're well. Now, this is fairly unique. I don't know if he's got the tools to buff the Life Takers to go and damage stuff. I also don't know what he's trying to play into with the Life Takers. They could do some amazing damage on the charge, but I don't know which. Is he trying to take out Plague Bearers? I don't think he does it. I just don't know what the list is trying to fight, which is good. So it's slightly different to some of the other lists. Simon Weekly, fresh off his 5-0 at the Justice Series GT, is taking 60 Pink Horrors, Lord of Change and a Changecaster, the Cogs and the Soul Screen Bridge in Host Duplicitous. And then Rick Myhill is taking a Legion of the First Prince list with Be'lakor, Sloppy Bar Piper, the Slaves to Darkness Demon Prince, the Scrivener, Contorted Epitome, Bloodthirster and Sense and Rage, and then Plague Bearers as battle line, and then some Screamers of Siege. So not too far off the standard list that we would see for one of the Legion of the First Prince lists. AOS Unique Nations. So, Twitch chat, your time to have your say. What do you think about all the lists now that you've seen them in the team format? I'd be quite excited to know. I've had some thoughts. I think the prevalence of Sentinels in one drop really gives you some indication of just how strong that War Scroll specifically is. The Pink Horrors, similar conversation. Very strong and very competent in a team format. The Salamanders and the Seraphon, I think that's one of those really interesting things that we saw. The reason that I think that's interesting is because they probably are the most versatile of all lists, able to get themselves out of most situations. I think if you pair the Pink Horrors into the right list, you can just probably auto-win. But the Salamanders and Seraphon are able to probably get themselves out of a bunch of different situations, which I think is nice. Some nice variation, honestly, yet still loads I expect to see, if that makes sense. That's good, Team Ancash, I agree. I think nobody has ever forgotten Seraphon. Great army for good players. That's true, Eric. So as you can see here, there are more things. How do you pronounce homogeneous? It is homogeneous. It is. It is. You guys are right. But there is a variety of lists, right? Like there are some standouts not there. There, for instance, are no Nighthaunt, but Nighthaunt are terrible. They play really badly at the moment in Age of Sigmar. There's no Sinesh, but similar conversation. They play really badly at the moment. There are no Khorne, but they also aren't doing very well as is. There are Khorne elements in some lists. There are no OCR Bone Reapers. Again, they generally are in the mid-tier and aren't doing well, and if you take in Nagash, it works better in Soulblight Gravelords. It's quite wide, I think, ultimately, but yeah, I mean, some of the lists are just very, very strong. There's no Gotrek, because Gotrek was never a problem, and anyone who thought he was didn't really get it. I feel the one-drop Sons Behemoth list is just a better versus most lists. That's interesting, some Norwegian dude. That's interesting. Surely the only way to make Sentinels not auto-take is making them unplayable like Skyfires back in the day, or rewriting the War Scroll. I don't agree with that. I think you could just add 50 points on, and I still think that they'll find play. There are no Gits, because none of the teams have class. I'm disappointed there's no Beast of Chaos. I'm not surprised, though. They've only got a 30% win rate at the minute. I mean, it's very clear that as meta has formed. Tarquin X, I agree. I agree. So the real question about the three different types of lists, Owen talked about this on the show earlier, is what types of lists have we seen? And those are swamp lists, which we see in the horror spam lists. There's Hero Hammer, so Nagash, and those lists, the Archeon version of that list. So there's the Hero Hammer list, and then you've got the shooting lists. And the shooting lists probably are the most common. Sentinels are the shooting list, Seraphon is the shooting list, Marathian the Bow Snakes are the shooting lists. So as much as it might seem like some of the lists are fairly problematic, it seems like the shooting lists are fairly dominant. First time I watched this, wasn't have my Swedish colour on me. I love that. Yes, Bobbin, let's go. I think Fly Nurgle list is an Alpha Strike Swamp list. Interesting. Hey Tristan, big love to you. Flashes back to Gotrek Faction Focus. Nothing to see here. All right, so some quick follow-ups for you guys is the draw. So there is a draw. So let me just put this up on the screen for you guys. Hold on, I've put up the wrong image. 1 second. So there's this draw. So some of the teams don't know who's playing who. I think they may already have been told now. It might have already happened before we did this show, but they don't know. So this is going to be the draw for the weekend, and boom, round one. Scotland will be playing Wales. Sweden will be playing England, and the Republic of Ireland will be playing Northern Ireland in round one. Round two, England will be playing Scotland, with the Republic of Ireland playing Sweden. Got my flags right there. Or is that Northern Ireland? Shit. Northern Ireland, sorry, playing Sweden. That's right. And then Wales will be playing Northern Ireland. So that's going to be a hot round. I think that's going to be a really hot round two. round 2 is probably one of the ones that's very exciting because you've got 2 of the contenders, Wales and oh no, wait. No, that's not. No, I've got that wrong. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Round 3 is the one where you've got Wales versus Northern Ireland, 2 of the contenders to take out Team England playing against each other, and then as if it was planned by the TOs, you have Wales versus England, and then Northern Ireland versus England going into round 5. With some teams really having to show their mettle early on. Sweden looking to push down Team England round 1. This is what they're going to do. Trying to get an IRL ban of the world, but it's so England afraid of James Smith wanted to play when he was drunk. Maybe. So there you go. Those are the rounds. So it's quite exciting. If you are one of those nations and you want to support your team, do tune into the T Sports Network this weekend. If you are someone who's interested in generally the Worlds format, it'll be quite exciting for you guys to tune in because this is a precursor to the AOS Worlds event next year, which there's a load of different teams playing next year. If you would like a longer deep dive of the lists, there is actually a long, rambly deep dive of the lists done by me and Adam Mumford on the Honest Wargamer Patreon or the T Sports Network Patreon, either one of those. So you can tune in for that and go and have a listen, which is good. Right, I'm done. Any questions? I think I nailed that. An hour. There we go. I smashed that. Really excited. Anyone got any questions? Anyone got any thoughts? Tristan, we'd love to know if there's a commonality between list archetypes between the teams or if they're different. The approach to how you build a team is something I'd love to see more on. Truthfully, Tristan, I feel like most of the lists are just singles lists. I think we've seen, I would say most of those lists you would see go to a singles event, if not all of them, truthfully. So some of them are maybe, there's no second half of the show. With no one being here, Gilly, there's no second half. It's just, this is it. This is me. It's me done. I've delivered information, and I am oot. I'm oot the hoose. Is what I'm going to say. Canada just opened our open team selection. Excellent. Maybe we can see you at the Worlds. There's no consistent method of picking teams between the countries. That's true, Rob Kelly. There is no consistent way of picking teams between the countries, and that's probably because the organising body wouldn't be able to force those countries to do that anyway. It is 8 p.m. Choo-choo. Just now it's open, eyebrows raised. I know, I just wanted to hear it from you. Oh. Good. We're going to be doing live coverage all this weekend. Me, Adam Mumford. I think intern Matt's going to be there. I know for a fact that Matt Mallow is going to be part of the team, as well as Mark is going to be there. So we've got a great little team going to go do the coverage. It's going to be fun. What do you think will be the dominant lists? So actually, the hardest part is thinking about the pairings, because obviously the teams also have to think about the pairings as well. What plays well into what? And I wrote, I was trying to think which lists work really well into which other lists. Marathi and the Bow Snakes maybe doesn't play that well into the Sentinel 1-drops. The Lumineth lists I don't think work very well into Gargants, apart from the fact that they can maybe move block the Gargants. Maybe. But I don't think they have the output to take out the Gargants. So I don't think the Sentinels into Gargants works well. I think that's why Gargants are so dominant. Sentinels work well into everything else. The Seraphon list, I think, works into everything because it's got the most attempt to play. Because it can pivot quite often, which I think is fun. Iron Jaws is a great list, but I don't think it works dominantly into anything. I think it works well into everything, but I don't think it dominates any of the lists. Whereas the pink horror spam lists work well into everything, pretty much, I think. And I think that's really key, that there are 3 of those in attendance, 4 if you include mixed version of the list. And I think they actually work really well. So I like the bully list. So in the pairing process, I feel like I mean, depends on team composition versus team composition, but I think that actually those lists work well. I think the Marathi and the Bosniaks lists work well. They're really, really good. But ultimately, they maybe get outranged by the Sentinel lists. I don't think they work as well into... Like, I think they're fine, but I think actually, even though there are 5 of them, I think we'll see them doing medium compared to the rest of the lists. And then some of the outlier lists I'm not really certain about. I mean, it's great that someone's brought Thanquol to go into the horrors. I think that's a great little pick. But yeah, it's going to be best overall team comp in terms of lists. It's a hard one because everyone is trying to do something different. I think, in my opinion, a couple of the Irish lists feel like clangers. Don't hate me, Ireland. You know I love you as a people. I think the Welsh team's lists are great. I'm worried about Dave and his KO, but I feel like the Northern Irish team have thought enough about it, about what they're going to put that into. Specifically, the 6 prosecutors as well. It's such an interesting pick, putting them in. Whereas the Welsh team is all about it, but then I just can't get on board with Chris's list. Like, that's a clanger as well. Like, I'm not saying it's not great, but I'm worried about that list because I just don't know what the Eidolons are doing personally. I really, really don't. And then, yeah, that's the one that I'm uncomfortable with. And I'm also don't know what Alex Bruce's list is doing in Wales as well with the DOK. So that's the one that bothers me. Ireland, I'm very uncomfortable with the Nurgle list that I like. Sorry, not the Nurgle list, the Skaven list. Like, I like it. I like the Plague Monks. I like the Clan Rats, and I like Thanquol. But I'm uncertain about what it pairs into, and I think it pairs into some stuff really, really badly. And then Scotland. I like Scotland's lists. Scotland's haven't messed around. Like, David Jack's got a nice version of Soulblight Gravelords. DOKs are on point. The Tzeentch list is on point, especially with Kairos. I don't get the horror spam list without Kairos. Kairos is, in my opinion, the best war scroll in Age of Sigmar, hands down. Mike has got a good Iron Sons, Iron Jaws list. The Seraphon list is good. The IDK list is good. The LRL list is good. So, like, I quite like Team Scotland's overall for composition. The English team have got a good composition as well. Everything's strong. Nothing messes about there. It feels like based on singles lists, but they all feel like singles lists as well, right? Which is the interesting one. Very interested to see how Dan Bradshaw does with this Idoneth Deepkin list. Dan's had a tough time past couple of events, being given Gargants, playing with his LRL at Blood Tithe, and that not working out too well for him. So be interesting to see how he does with this IDK list and what it pairs into. Yeah, and then Ricky as well. Ricky, I don't know if Ricky and also Terry have had a lot of play. They might have not been playing at events, just playing at home. And then Sweden, it's fun seeing the Swedish meta, because I know Sweden play a lot of Warhammer. So I'm liking a lot of their lists as well. I like Ulf's version of the Slaves to Darkness list. I don't understand Andreas's Bloodthirster list for Legion of the First Prince, but that'll be fun to see. It really will. I like Leonard's version of Stormcast Eternals with the Knight Judicator list, because it pairs really nicely with the Lumineth list, because then you've got 2 very aggro shooting early doors lists, which is what good. Have to be great in team form, especially with all the shooting going around. They do have to be good into the... So you think that the Idoneth Deepkin are there for the shooting? Okay, it only works if you pair them into the shooting. That's what it is. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry the guys were away this weekend, but it feels like the right time for them to be away, because we got to do this together, which is really fun. So this weekend, Age of Sigmar Six Nations, the largest international event. Oh, no, the AOS Worlds was on this year, but it was 2nd edition. So it's going to be really, really fun. A lot of this is going to come down to pairings. I agree with that statement a lot. It's been a load of fun talking about these. It's going to be a load of fun talking about them at the weekend. So do join us for that at the weekend and keep up to date with the events. Don't forget to join me again live tomorrow on Twitch. In fact, join me live all week apart from Friday, I think, but maybe Friday. It's going to be great, but it does make me miss Owen's comp tournament where he banned some factions. It was super interesting to see what emerged. I agree. I think there's a really good conversation to have off the back of this. I'd love to see you guys have it on Twitter, have it in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, tweet at me. If you listen to the podcast and stay hydrated. I always stay with us Mondays. Well, the boys will be back next week. And we're going to be redoing our tiering show. A lot of the YouTube thugs mad as hell about the last tiering show and the audio problems. So this next Monday we'll be back to do the tiering show again, and hopefully it'll be better this time. So you guys will be. Too many models that are a problem can go into multiple armies though. See you Friday, legend. Think looking forward to doing some table bossing and laughing my ass off at Adam. Yes! Think before you skink. I'm looking forward to seeing you as well. Right, see you at the weekend. I'll either see you at the weekend or you guys will see me at the weekend. Tune in, get yourself some beers in, get yourself some popcorn. Let's talk about some Warhammies. Get your national shirts on, whoever you're rooting for. Final chance to say in the chat, which team are you rooting for? That's the big one. Because if you're not one of the Six Nations teams, who are you rooting for? Like, Guy, who are you rooting for? Talk to me about that. Davadams is rooting for England. Plymouth Troll Slayers is rooting for Sealand. Nigel Matthews rooting for himself. That's a great team. I'm on that team too. Bobbin for Sweden. Rob Kelly for Northern Ireland. Canada for motherfucking England. Oh, okay. It's exciting. All right. Denmark here all up for Sweden. I suppose all the Nordics are up for Sweden, so that's going to be good. Right, thanks for tuning in. If you listen to the podcast, stay hydrated. If you watch this back on YouTube, thanks for being a thug. And if you're one of the Twitch chatters, love you loads. You're great. Thanks for the donations and everything else earlier. That was very, very kind. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being honest, Wargamers, and thanks for subscribing on Patreon. See you guys soon, and love you loads. Bye.